Hello, my dear viewer. Another story about adultery. It would seem an ordinary, everyday situation. The husband returns from a business trip and finds his wife cheating in their own home. But what happens next is like a Hollywood action movie. Let's hear this story. And while you're listening, put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go. When I woke up, I immediately felt a slight sore throat. When I tried to speak, I found an obstacle, something stuck in my throat, preventing me from saying a word. Looking around, I saw a hospital room decorated with tubes and wires connected to my body. My left arm was in a cast, and there were tight bandages on my face. Trying to figure out the situation, I was confused and puzzled. What happened to me? I was wondering how long it had been since I found myself in this unfamiliar place. My body was heavy and did not respond to my attempts to change position. Suddenly the door swung open and a nurse came in, her presence bringing a sense of relief. She looked at my chart, assessed my vital signs, and left the room. A minute later she returned, accompanied by a man whom I took to be a doctor. He conducted a thorough examination, including shining a bright light into my eyes. After completing the examination, he talked to the nurse, after which they together removed the tube inserted into my throat. After the doctor brought me back to consciousness, I was finally able to speak. My name is Jackson Neely, but my friends call me Jack. At first, my throat and lips were dry and I couldn't say a word, but the nurse gave me some ice to help. I hardly asked, "How long have I been here?" The nurse informed me that I had been in the hospital for 10 days. The doctor informed me that I had a slight swelling of the brain and that I had been put into a coma to allow me to recover from a severe blow to the head. In addition, he noted that my arm was broken. Then he told the nurse to contact my wife and tell her that I had regained consciousness. I shook my head in response, refusing the offer. When asked by the doctor, I explained that my wife was the cause of my current condition, which made him look at me with concern. I continued to hold a piece of ice in my mouth while he considered my revelations. The doctor suggested that I contact the police. I agreed, adding that I should also consult with a divorce lawyer. The doctor laughed at my remark and assured me that they would contact the police on my behalf. He mentioned that a detective had already been interested in me, but he explained that I would have to find a divorce lawyer myself. I thanked him for his help. He smiled and then told the nurse to take me for an X-ray. As I was being driven back to the ward, I thought about the next steps towards justice and the completion of the case. A man in a tuxedo entered the room and, presenting a badge, introduced himself as Detective Mel Green from the city police. "Are you ready to answer a few questions?" he asked. "Yes," I replied, taking a sip of water. He sat down on a chair next to my bed, took a notebook and a dictaphone out of his coat. He put the recorder on the bedside table and turned it on. "I'll record our conversation if you don't mind," he informed me. "It's okay," I assured him. Having recorded the date, time, and place of the conversation on a dictaphone, he turned to me. "So, Mr. Neely," he began, "please tell us what happened." I told you. I just returned home after a short trip to Pittsburgh for work. I finished work early and was looking forward to reuniting with my wife, Julia. When I returned home, I noticed an unfamiliar car parked at the entrance, and this led me to the idea that guests might have come to her. When I drove up to the entrance and headed inside, the house was dark, except for a faint glow and muffled sounds coming from above. Despite my suspicions, I decided to investigate further. As I climbed the stairs, I saw a sight I never expected to see: Julie and a man making love on my bed. Shocked and outraged, I couldn't help but let out a scream that made them stop abruptly and stare at me as if I had just landed from outer space. An unknown man jumped out of bed, and I rushed to him, ready to strike. But before I could raise my hand, He swiftly struck me a powerful blow in the face. His fist was huge, the biggest I've ever seen. Then darkness fell. Then I came to my senses. I told Detective Green about the incident. I do not know who it was, I confessed. And no, I had no idea that my wife was dating someone else, I added in response to his questioning look. I had a feeling that something suspicious was going on, but I couldn't be sure, I said. Wait a minute, I remembered. I just remembered that there are surveillance cameras in the house. Before the previous trip, I hired a private investigator to find out if my wife was cheating on me. He installed audio and video surveillance in the house right before I left. According to the plan, all records were to be stored on a cloud server. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to review them upon my return. It is likely that the recordings are still available. Detective Green unzipped his bag and took out his laptop. Do you think it's possible to get access from here? I think so, I replied. I have a username and password written on the back of the card he gave me. It should still be in my wallet. The detective went to the nearest closet and took out my wallet from the back pocket of his trousers, which he handed to me. Rummaging through it, I found a card. Here it is, I announced, handing him the card. I returned the wallet to him, and he slipped it into his back pocket. Angus McGregor, Detective Green announced after reading the name on the card. Is this your private investigator? I confirmed that yes. He's the one who called the rescue service, the detective told me. He gave a statement to the police, followed the ambulance, and gave the hospital information about your insurance. Have you talked to him? I asked. Yes, Green replied. He informed me that he found you on the floor at the bottom of the stairs and immediately called the rescue service. There were no other people in the house when he found you. Let's see what the video shows, the detective said, turning on his laptop and connecting to Wi-Fi in the hospital. After successfully connecting, he turned the laptop towards me so that I could enter my credentials. I entered the data indicated on the card, and a catalog of video recordings appeared on the screen. I selected the video corresponding to the time of my arrival home and clicked the play button. The video began with Julie, my wife, entering the living room, followed by a large, bald man. Do you know who this is? This is the guy who attacked me, I replied, although I had never seen his face before. As we continued to watch, Julie looked around the room, then turned to the man and kissed him passionately. Let's go, she beckoned to him. Come on, let's go upstairs to seal the deal, the big man said with a grin, playfully slapping her buttocks. Let's do it, she added. They went up the stairs and soon the video ended. I remembered that Julius, who installed cameras in the house, mentioned that the cameras would start recording as soon as there was movement, so I went back to the catalog and clicked on the next video. The footage showed Julie and a tall figure walking through the bedroom. Julie went to the dresser, opened a drawer, and took out a bulky envelope. Julia handed the envelope to the man, who quickly took out a significant amount of money from it. He quickly counted the bills and returned them to the envelope. Half now, half at the end of the job, Julia said firmly. As we agreed. A thought flashed through my mind. Did she pay this man to end my life? The man grinned, assessing Julia. Well, dear cheeks, shall we conclude our agreement? He asked. Julia smiled back at him, studying him carefully from head to toe. Undressing, she appeared completely naked in front of him. The man also undressed, and they hugged, and then lay down on the bed. Which side does your husband sleep on? He asked. Why would you want to know that? She replied. On the side where he sleeps, I want to be with you, he said. She laughed and pointed to the side closest to the door. He sleeps there, she said. Fine, he replied, throwing back the blanket. Come on, go there. "We will definitely leave him a surprise," the man said, laughing. "You're so cruel," she remarked. At that moment, I entered the room and caught them off guard. "What the hell is going on here?" I exclaimed, looking at the scene on the screen. Both traders stopped their actions and looked at me. Julie grinned as the heavyset man pulled away from her. I saw me lunge at the towering figure, but he dodged and hit me in the face, causing me to immediately fall. He aggressively grabbed me by the neck and struck me several times. Punches rained down on my face, causing me to fall to the floor. Julia, ignoring the lack of clothes, got out of bed and dragged herself after him while he dragged me out of the room. That was the end of the scene, forcing me to select the next video from the catalog. In the new video, 3 pairs of legs were visible on the landing, and only one pair mine was shod. A large man picked me up and forcefully threw me down the stairs, causing me to collapse lifelessly to the floor. "Is he dead?" Julia asked, to which the man replied, "I'm not sure. Should I take care of him now?" "Not in my house," she replied. "I don't want to deal with this any more than I have to. Leave him alone. Perhaps he will do us a favor and die." "Maybe," the man agreed. "Even if he doesn't wake up, I can come back to finish the job I started. Let's leave this place and finish what we started in my room," the big man said. Soon, Julie and the man came down the stairs, got dressed and left the house, stepping over my unconscious body. After that, the video ended. Intrigued, I continued watching the next video, where Angus entered the house. He examined me and then quickly dialed the emergency number on his mobile phone. Angus stayed by my side until paramedics and police arrived at the scene. After the video ended and I looked through the catalog, it became clear that I couldn't find any more videos. It was obvious that the scammers had moved their activities to another place, away from home. "What should we do now?" I asked. "We need to find your wife and her partner in crime and apprehend them," Detective Green replied. "Are you sure you've never crossed paths with this person before?" "No, never," I replied. "I think I know him," Detective Green said. "His real name is James Hammond," he said. "Jimmy Ham, known as the Horned Criminal, is wanted by authorities for a series of violent crimes. He is notorious for killing his victims with his own hands, leaving behind his trademark symbol, the horn. You are incredibly lucky to have escaped his wrath. It is unclear why your wife wished you harm. As far as I know, you are just a merchant," the detective said. "Actually, I'm a customer service representative," I clarified. "Although I do sales and travel for work, my main focus is on ensuring customer satisfaction and profitability," I added. "Could problems in your marriage have led to this?" Detective Green asked. Green knowingly remarked, "It wasn't that long ago, was it?" I nodded back. "Are you one of those people who have fun away from home?" Mel asked. "Are you asking if I'm cheating on my wife?" I asked. Detective Green looked at me questioningly. "No way. Would I betray her if someone like her was waiting for me at home? You know her. Would I risk losing her by chasing other women? No, I wouldn't," I told the detective. "So revenge is not a possible motive. Tell me, do you have a life insurance policy?" he asked. I confirmed that there is. I mentioned that thanks to hard work, I managed to get $1 million policy that doubles in case of an accident. Green asked if my wife was the beneficiary of this policy, to which I confirmed. "But that's not all," I added. Green was interested to know what else I could share. I told him that I had recently won $3 million in the lottery after taxes. I was planning to surprise Julie with a cruise for our upcoming anniversary. Green asked if Julie knew about the money, to which I replied that I had informed her of my winnings. I didn't tell her the exact amount, I explained. I usually handle all our financial matters, so I assumed she wouldn't know about it because she rarely looks at bank statements, I added. If something happens to you, she could potentially inherit $5 million, right? Green asked. After a little thought, I replied, I suppose so. Do you think she did it for the money? I asked. It's a classic motif, Green replied. Damn, I never thought about it, I muttered. Why not log into your account and check how much you have left? He advised. I followed his advice and discovered that Julie had withdrawn $5,000 from her account 3 times in the last 12 days. The remaining funds were still in the account. While you are doing this, why not cancel all your joint credit cards? As soon as this is done, I will contact the bank to temporarily block the account until we can delay it, he added. Following his advice, I canceled our joint credit cards and informed her that her ATM card had been stolen. After completing this task, I called and asked to freeze Julie's account. Do you have any information about your wife's whereabouts? He asked, hanging up the phone. I shook my head in response. I don't know anything, I confessed. She's usually home by this time, but I can't say for sure. Green said, Maybe Angus will help. You're private investigator, right? I nodded, and he handed me his cell phone. Call him. I haven't answered his calls in the last few days, so he was probably waiting for my call. I picked up the phone and dialed Angus's number. He picked up the phone after the second ring. McGregor, he greeted. Angus, this is Jack Neely, I replied. Jack, you're awake, Angus exclaimed. Thank God I was worried, but it's not your phone, he added. No, Detective Green is here with me at the hospital, I informed him. Even better, Angus replied. I tried to contact him, but our schedules didn't match in any way, Angus added. Angus, have you seen Julie? He confirmed that he had. Turn on the speakerphone so I can talk to both of you, he suggested. When I turned on the speakerphone and put the phone on the tray, Detective Green's voice rang out. Can you hear me, Mr. McGregor? The detective asked. Of course, Angus replied. Please call me Angus. Mr. McGregor was my father. We all laughed together at his answer. Where is Mrs. Neely now? Mel Green asked. She's at the international airport right now and just bought a ticket to Chicago, Angus replied. The flight is only in 4 hours, so you have time to delay her. What about James Hammond? Green asked. He's not with her right now, Angus replied, but he plans to meet with her in the next few days. All right, Green nodded. Angus, look after her, I added. Angus decided to act and asked to detain her. I'll call and arrange everything, he said and hung up. Detective Green called his partner and instructed him to get a warrant for Julie's arrest. He made another call to inform the authorities about Hammond and sent out a bulletin to all authorities. When he was finishing his work, the doctor returned to the room. Mel asked me how my health was going, to which the doctor replied, He will probably stay here for a few more days. His recovery is in full swing. But it is also obvious that he suffered serious physical injuries, the doctor added. Mel acknowledged this by saying, Yes, I see. Worried about his safety, Mel decided to ask several officers to keep an eye on me while I was in the hospital. The doctor agreed, but on condition that they would not interfere with his work. Mel assured him, I promise you. Turning to me, Mel added, Take care of yourself, Jack. We will keep in touch. Feel free to call if you need anything. Grateful for the support, I replied, Thank you, Detective. After he left, I climbed into bed and tried to distract myself by watching TV, but my mind kept returning to thoughts of my wife. I wondered why she would betray me in such a way. Wasn't I a devoted husband and breadwinner? Memories of our life together flooded my mind, making me wonder what happened to the sweet student I fell in love with. After graduating from high school, I immediately went to college thanks to my father's hard work at the factory, which gave me the opportunity to get a degree in business. It was in college that I met Julia Hempstead. From the moment we looked at each other, I realized that I was fascinated. Our relationship blossomed over several years, which led to a deep love affair and, eventually, to the fact that we tied the knot after graduating from university. I continued my career at a financial company specializing in helping small and medium-sized enterprises increase their profits. Meanwhile, she got a job at one of the banks in the city center, starting as a cashier and moving to the mortgage lending department. Thanks to the fact that we both earned well, we were able to buy a house within a year after the wedding. The first years of our marriage were filled with joy and happiness. We were close almost every day of the week, and on Saturdays and Sundays we came together. I believed that we were a full-fledged couple living our dreams. We even discussed the possibility of having children. So why did she betray me after all this? Is it really all about money? My thoughts were abruptly interrupted by a knock on the door. I looked up and saw 2 policemen looking into my room. "We'll be standing outside the door if you need help," one of them said. I nodded my head in gratitude. "Thank you, officers," I said gratefully. Soon there was another knock on the door and Angus came in. He walked over to the bed and looked me up and down. "You look much better than when you were brought in," he remarked. "How are you feeling?" "It's like I was hit by a truck," I answered honestly. "What's going on?" I asked. "Well, they detained your wife at the airport," Angus informed me. "As far as I can tell, they are accusing her of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder," he said. I inquired about Hammond's whereabouts, but Angus informed me that they were still looking for him. "In addition, there are police officers on duty at your house, although Hammond has not yet been found. I would also like to point out that I found your mobile phone on the floor of your house. I couldn't find the charger, so I bought it for you. Let me plug it in and charge it for you," Angus said. "Thank you," I said as he plugged in the phone and put it on the bedside table. "I suppose you haven't had a chance to consult with a divorce lawyer yet," he remarked. "No, I just came to my senses this morning," I replied. He took a business card out of his pocket. "I had a hunch. Contact this woman as soon as possible. I have a strong working relationship with her, and I have already informed her about your upcoming call. She is ready to help you in your case and, by the way, despises betrayal." "Thanks again," I said. "What happened after they beat me up?" I asked. "It looks like your wife has planned everything for a long time. She went on a trip right after you left for Pittsburgh. I don't think she was going to come back. After the attack, she hid with Hammond and her boyfriend, constantly moving from one motel to another and not returning home. I have repeatedly tried to contact Detective Green to report their whereabouts, but we have not been in time all the time," Angus said. "Yes, he mentioned that you both couldn't get through to each other," I replied. "I texted Green to let him know that Angus is busy, but we still have no information on Hammond's whereabouts. Green thanked me for the information and said he would keep me informed. As I lay there trying to relax and recover from the chaos of the last few days, I couldn't help but wonder where Hammond might be hiding. But right now, all I could do was trust Angus to find him and focus on getting better. I closed my eyes, hoping that this nightmare would end soon. I contacted the lawyer recommended by Angus McGregor, Alicia Hawkins, at her law office. The receptionist answered the phone, and I asked to be put through to Miss Hawkins. After a short wait, I was put through to her, and I introduced myself as Jack Neely. She confirmed that she was Alicia Hawkins, and we continued the conversation. "I received your contact information from Angus McGregor, who recommended that I contact you," I said. "Yes, Mr. McGregor mentioned your current circumstances," she replied. "I've been waiting for your call. As far as I understand, you are currently in the hospital?" Alicia asked. "Yes, it is. It's hard for me to move around, especially after I was beaten up," I said. "I've heard about it. I've almost finished a case here in the office. How about I visit you at the hospital?" Alicia asked. I couldn't believe it. Is the lawyer ready to come to me personally? That would be amazing, I thought to myself. That sounds great, I replied. I'll see you soon, Alicia said. An hour later, Alicia arrived with a briefcase in her hands, and we started talking about my divorce. Despite the fact that we live in a state where divorce takes place without guilt, there were still grounds for divorce, such as betrayal or cruelty. Alicia promised to draw up legal documents describing betrayal and extreme cruelty. In particular, Julie's participation in hiring a mercenary to take my life, cheating with him, and leaving me to die on the floor of my own house. By putting her behind bars, I would have significantly helped achieve the desired results in the divorce process, which in fact meant getting everything I wanted. While she was carefully putting things in her briefcase, there was a knock on the door and Mel looked into the room. When I motioned for him to come in, he greeted us with a smile and entered the room. "Good afternoon, Detective Green," I said. Alicia greeted him with a smile. "Miss Hawkins, am I interrupting you?" he asked. "Not at all. We're just finishing up. Do you have any news for us?" Alicia asked the detective. "Actually, that's what I came for. I found out everything. Your wife confessed everything," he said, sitting down in an armchair. "She said she hired Hammond to finish you off and make it look like an accident," he added sadly. "Why?" I asked. "Money," he said, "and lust." She admitted that she had a relationship with a colleague named Sylvester Johnson. It turned out that Johnson was actually a relative of Hammond. It also turned out that your wife and Johnson planned to escape and go to Hawaii, but could not afford it. When she discovered a lottery win in your shared account, she saw it as an opportunity to live a luxurious life in paradise. She thought that with your winnings and the insurance payout, she could walk away with millions of dollars, says Detective Green. Unfortunately, this is not the first time I have witnessed such betrayal and greed. This may not be the last time I will face a similar situation. The prosecutor is seeking the most severe punishment, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. In addition, they ask to keep her in custody without the right to bail because they believe that she may try to escape, the detective continued. A question was asked about Johnson's involvement in her meeting with Hammond, to which Detective Mel Green confirmed that it was his doing. Johnson is currently in custody and will be questioned soon. If her accusations against him turn out to be true, he will also be charged, Detective Green added. Is there any news about Hammond? I asked. We're still looking for him, he replied. All officers in the area are currently searching. There will be a guard at your door, and patrols will walk around your house until we detain him, he added. I shook my head in disbelief. I just can't figure it out, I muttered. She has never shown any signs of being unhappy. Why now? Mel shrugged his shoulders. Who knows? People can behave irrationally when money is at stake, Detective Green added. How long will you be here? Alicia asked. The doctor said it would take a few more days for everything to heal properly, I explained. Mel nodded understandingly. That sounds reasonable. I won't bother you yet, but if anything happens, I'll keep you posted, Detective Green assured me. Thank you, Detective, I said gratefully. With pleasure, he replied, standing up. Miss Hawkins, I'm glad to see you again, he said warmly. It's good to see you too, Mel, she replied with a smile. She chuckled. As soon as he left the room, I turned to Alicia. I suppose you know him, I asked. Yes, I was his divorce lawyer, she replied. I will take care of this case and make sure that your wife goes to jail, she added. Let me give you an advance, I suggested, reaching for my wallet in my pants pocket. Could you take my wallet? I asked. Of course, she replied, taking my wallet. I always keep a blank check in my wallet just in case, so when she asked, I filled it out for the amount she requested. She smiled gratefully, took the check and put it in her briefcase. "We'll be in touch, Jack. Good luck to you," she said, getting up. "Thanks for the help," I replied. I watched her leave, and then I focused on the TV again. It is correct to say that all good things end sooner or later. A few weeks later, the doctor found me healthy enough to discharge me and bring me home. Throughout the recovery period, I was visited by various friends and acquaintances, including Angus, Detective Green, and others, who informed me about the progress of the Julie case and the search for Hammond. Mel informed me that Sylvester has been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Meanwhile, Julie, who received the divorce papers while in custody, decided to accept the end of our marriage without objection. Alicia also confirmed that she signed the papers without protest. I was surprised when she told me, "In 60 days you will be a free man." She also mentioned that I would get the house and all our possessions, and Julia would be allowed to keep only the car, clothes, and personal belongings. I called her parents and they agreed to take everything else. What they would do with it later was up to them. Angus picked me up from the hospital and drove me home, casually asking, "Do you have a weapon?" I replied, "Just an old shotgun that my father gave me when I was 17 years old. I got it as a birthday present, and my father often took me to skeet shooting and trap shooting, which created some of the most vivid memories. Although the gun still belonged to me, it remained untouched for a long time and was stored in a securely locked gun case along with a box of cartridges. When I asked why, they told me that Hammond was still at large, so it would be wise to keep him on hand. Panic seized me when I realized the potential danger. In the evening, I took out a good old rifle from the pantry and examined it carefully. Surprisingly, she was still in great shape, despite collecting dust from lack of use. Carefully, I loaded it with a box of cartridges. I came up with the idea of spending the night in the master bedroom, but the memory of the horrors of the past forced me to abandon this idea. Instead, I settled into my favorite armchair in the living room, holding a loaded shotgun at hand. It turned out to be a wise decision. In the dead of night, I woke up to the sound of scratching outside the house. With a shotgun in my hands, I sat and looked around the neighborhood. My right arm was injured, so I supported the gun with my left hand, which was still in a cast. Through the sliding glass door that led to the backyard, I saw a figure approaching. When the figure shifted, I noticed a pistol in her hand, tightly clutched in her hand. It was clear that he hadn't noticed me yet, otherwise I would definitely have died. I was thinking of making a move, taking advantage of the opportunity to meet the uninvited guest face to face. I turned on the flashlight, and there he was, James Hammond, armed and ready for battle. His surprise was obvious when he started to raise the gun, which made me quickly pull out the shotgun and fire. The force of my shot threw him back against the door, causing it to wobble on the rails. In a panic, he fired his pistol, missing me and hitting the ceiling. Wasting no time, I reloaded the pistol and fired another round, hitting him right in the chest, causing him to fall through the door. I found him sprawled on the porch, blood gushing from his wounds. Without hesitation, I dialed the emergency number, loaded the shotgun with another round, and cautiously approached the door. Standing over the criminal, I was waiting for help when I noticed the flashing lights outside. The room quickly filled with police officers, their weapons at the ready. I lowered my weapon and raised my hands in surrender. One of the officers checked his pulse and reported that he was being probed, while the other called an ambulance. I spent the next hour giving statements to the police. Just when it seemed to me that this ordeal was coming to an end, an ambulance pulled up. Detective Green arrived in his car, followed by paramedics. Paramedics examined Hammond and carefully transferred him to a gurney. Zipping up, They began loading him into an ambulance to take him to the hospital. They stopped briefly to give Mel a chance to examine Hammond's face. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded back, still a little shaken by what had happened. I've never shot at people, and I certainly haven't hurt anyone. The only thing I've ever done is shoot clay pigeons. "Yes, I'll be fine," I assured the detective. Before anyone could respond, Mel turned to the other officers. "Are you done?" he asked. "We're finishing up, detective," the sergeant replied. "Okay," Mel nodded. "I need a report on this as soon as possible." "Of course," the sergeant replied. Then Mel turned to me and offered, "How about I buy you a cup of coffee when they're done?" "That sounds great. Just let me change quickly first. I don't think they'll appreciate it," I agreed. "Probably not," Mel giggled. I went upstairs to change into more appropriate clothes and then came back downstairs in jeans and a t-shirt. The other officers had already left and Mel was patiently waiting for me. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Absolutely," I replied. We left the house and got into his car. He took us to the nearest 24-hour coffee shop. Once inside, we placed an order. I haven't pampered myself with caramel mocha for a long time, so I decided to take a large portion. Mel giggled as he paid for our drinks. "I thought you wanted coffee, not liquid candies," he joked. "It's been a while since I've tried anything like this, so I decided to treat myself," I told him. While we were settling down and sipping drinks, he asked how I was feeling. "I think everything is fine. I've never had to shoot someone before," I replied. Understanding my concern, he reassured me. "I can understand that, Jack." "Have you ever shot at people?" I asked. "Yes. The first time was difficult. I almost quit my job," admitted the detective. "I was a rookie who had just graduated from the police academy. It's only been a month since I started my duties. I understood that either he or I would have to survive in this job, and I was firmly convinced that I would not end up in the next world," Detective Green shared. "You had the opportunity to prepare," I said. "That's right, but I don't think anyone can be ready for something like this. But you're very lucky, Jack. The perpetrator survived, and most likely it's a sign of self-defense," he said. "Hammond is a dangerous man," he added after a pause. "I know," I whispered. "The most important thing is that you are alive, and he is unlikely to get out of prison. Fortunately for you, this state has strict self-defense laws, so you won't be prosecuted for what happened," Mel Green reassured me again. "Thank God," I replied, feeling relieved. Mel smiled when I laughed softly. He reached into his pocket and took out a business card, handing it to me. I read the name on the card. Dr. Rose Carlson. "I think you should call her," Mel suggested. "She's the best consultant in this field. If anyone can help you navigate, it's her." "Thanks. I'll take care of it," I said, stuffing the card into my shirt pocket. We sat over a cup of coffee, discussing fishing, football, and other typically masculine topics. When Mel looked at his watch, he realized it was time to go back to work. "Ready to go?" he asked. "Absolutely," I replied. After throwing the empty glasses in the trash, we left the coffee shop and hit the road. After dropping me off at the house, he wished me all the best and reminded me to call Dr. Carlson. "I'll be in touch," Detective Green said. "Thanks again," I replied. I took a look at him before returning to my house. Despite all my efforts, I couldn't fall asleep. Finally, at 7:30 in the morning, I got up, took a shower, and had breakfast. I realized that there was only one thing left for me to do. After making a phone call, I went to the county jail where Julie was being held. As I was sitting in the visitors area, my gaze fell on Julie, who was being escorted out. She looked haggard, and the ill-fitting orange jumpsuit only accentuated her disheveled appearance. Taking a seat across from me, she reached for the phone on her side of the plexiglass partition. I repeated her actions by picking up the phone on my end. "Hi, Julie," I said. "Hello, Jack. What do you need?" she asked sharply. I took a deep breath before I spoke. "I signed the papers. Now you have everything," she added. "I need answers," I demanded. "How long has this been going on with Sylvester? I deserve to know," I said. "Not very long, maybe just 2 or 3 months," she replied. "Why? Was I unable to cope with my role as a husband or lover? Did I say or do something wrong? Why did you hurt me so much?" I asked. "I don't have an answer. I guess I succumbed to his charm. We were discussing starting a family and I was scared," Julie replied. "I was afraid that I would gain weight and lose my attractiveness to you," she added, lowering her head. "That's nonsense, Julie, and you know it perfectly well. But that doesn't excuse your actions. There must be another reason. Which one? Is it really money?" I kept asking questions. Julia lowered her eyes in embarrassment before answering. "Yes, I think so. Sylvester told me that we could use them to escape and start over. Maybe travel the world together," she admitted. "Julie, is this the reason you decided to end my life?" I asked. She explained that Sylvester had promised her access to all my money and insurance without the need for an expensive divorce. "And he introduced you to Hammond?" I asked. Julie nodded. "Did you know that Hammond is Sylvester's uncle?" Julie nodded again. "Yes," she admitted. "Why did you sleep with Hammond in our bed?" I asked. "He said he would give me a discount if I did," she replied. "And you just left me beaten up," I said, feeling hurt. Tears streamed down Julia's face and she nodded, muttering an apology. After an awkward silence, I told her the news. "I injured Hammond when he broke into our house," I told her. She looked shocked. "What do you mean he's injured?" she asked. "He came to finish the job you hired him to do. I beat him to it when he burst into the house and shot. He is in the hospital now, and as soon as he wakes up, he will be sent to prison," I said. "How did you do that?" she asked, shocked. "From a shotgun that my father gave me as a child. I threw him back out the door," I replied. "I completely forgot about this shotgun. I'm so sorry about what happened. Do you think you will ever be able to forgive me?" she said, looking at me with sad eyes. I couldn't help but laugh out loud in response. I raised my voice to get the guard's attention for a while and said, "You've got to be kidding, Julie. I will never forgive you for what you did. You'll have plenty of time to think about it for the rest of your life. I hope it was worth it. Goodbye, Julie." I abruptly ended the conversation, not wanting to listen to her answer. I saw tears in her eyes as she slowly hung up the phone. I got up, turned away, and left. The next 2 months passed quickly. After spending some time packing my things, I finally took everything I needed out of the house. After finishing the renovation, I decided to put the house up for sale and bought a beautiful apartment next to my office. I was called as a witness to the trial of Julia, Sylvester, and Hammond, where they were quickly found guilty. A week later, I was summoned to court to sentence Julia. The judge expressed gratitude for my testimony and sentenced Julia to life in prison without the right to parole. Julia wasn't the only one who was sentenced to life in prison. As it turned out, Sylvester and Hammond also received such a sentence. They were quickly sent to jail. Julie's betrayal and attempted crime left me emotionally shattered. While my body was healing, the scars on my heart remained. Dr. Carlson diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I spent the next 2 years in counseling. My daily routine consisted of work, home, therapy, and the gym. I just existed, doing ordinary things, but not really living. I was afraid to go outside or approach a woman on a date. Trust was a serious problem for me. When it came to intimate relationships, I preferred to be completely alone. In the end, Rose convinced me to face my fears and ask someone out on a date. After much thought, I found the courage to take a step. The question was, who should I invite? Although there were several women at work who seemed interesting to me, I hesitated because of the difficulties associated with dating colleagues. In the end, I got to the point where I decided to take a chance and invite Rhonda, a colleague from another department, to have dinner with me. To my surprise, she agreed. We had an amazing time together, and I found myself feeling more at ease with her than I could have imagined. And although we didn't have an intimate relationship during the first meeting, after the third date, a spark broke out between us that completely changed my world. 6 months have passed, and our relationship is flourishing. Rhonda even introduced me to her parents, and it became clear that we were very suitable for each other. I'm not sure I'll ever get married again. Maybe in the future, but for now, I'm focused on living in the present and accepting whatever comes. The future is uncertain, so who knows what it has to offer.